Today we are on All the Things We Don't Say, and our star guest is Dominique Bouchard. And we will be discussing the impact of a father and the absence of a father. So, Dominique, welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on here with me. Dominique is all things creative, and so it is I'm very grateful that you said that you would come and speak with me about something personal
Oh,
and private to you. So thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
So
you.
I just wanted to introduce yourself and tell the world who you are and what you do, and yeah.
Jeez, you said the world. Okay, world, listen. I am, as you mentioned, all things creative. At least I aspire to be. I'm a mom, first and foremost. I'm a wife. I am
Oh,
the
oh, sorry.
period.
Love that.
I'm the co-owner of a production and marketing agency, Simul Creative Inc. I'm a full-time content creator, a dreamer, and a lifelong learner.
Like I've known Dom my whole life for the most part,
Yeah,
not for the most part, my whole life,
quite
since
literally.
we were 3 years old, and now we're 33 and 34, correct?
Chill, 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 chill. Now we're, not 3 years old. Like,
Now we are grown adults, and so it's honestly a beautiful thing too, to come full circle and to be able to reflect and talk and see each other in our full livelihood, our full selves, right? Coming to our full selves. So today we're going to talk about the impact of a father and also the absence of a father and what that's meant for us as we've grown up. And so I just wanted you to share a little bit of your childhood. When you think of the word dad or father, what comes to mind and how do you feel when you think of that?
I mean, a lot of different feelings come up. So when I think about fatherhood or a dad in my childhood state, um, quite honestly, I think of instability. I think of like my memories of my dad as a child. He and my mom officially separated, and he no longer lived with us by the time I turned like 6. I think that was maybe around 8. By the time I was 8 years old, he was officially no longer in and out of the house. He lived on his own.
Yes.
So when I think about my childhood self and how I related to my dad, because he was in and out of the house so often, like he quite literally would come live with us during the week, and then every weekend he'd pack his suitcase and leave. And that lasted for, in my memory, it was years. I couldn't tell you how long it actually was.
Gotcha.
So when I was around him, I felt like I needed to be on my best behavior. Like I needed to convince him to stay. And as the youngest in the household, it was like if I was cute enough, if I was kind enough, if I was enough, he would want to stay living with us.
Hmm.
Um, so I think of that instability, and my mom always announcing to him like every weekend when he started packing his luggage again, she'd be like, this is not a revolving door. Like if you live here, you live here. If you don't, stay out.
Hmm.
Um, Today, when I think of fatherhood, now that I've created my own family, my husband, we have our daughter now, seeing him as a father, seeing how his father has fathered him, for example, like I'm seeing what that relationship can be
Hmm.
and should be, quite frankly.
Hmm.
Um, like I feel sad when I think about it, and I feel sad that like I lost out on that. But I also feel really, really lucky that I get to, girl, it's the first question, not me already getting emotional. I
Okay,
feel really
take your
lucky
time.
that
Mhm.
I get to create that and give my daughter that instead, even if I didn't get to get it. Ooh. Question number one. Okay.
It's okay. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for your honesty and transparency. And it's also in knowing that through all the hardships, you've come full circle to still go on, which is I'm not saying I don't want to say I don't really like the thought of saying like through the struggle you can still conquer, but it's
Yeah.
like you didn't succumb to your pain and to
Totally.
something that actually could break you down, right? Um, so also thinking though, the moments that you did have with your dad as a little girl, how did that make you feel? What were your thoughts? How did you see your dad when it was happy or positive?
Um,
And
yeah,
maybe we can take a pause too, because I know like I don't want to dismiss that you're feeling a little bit sad, like like so.
we're gonna keep it cute. We're gonna keep it pushing. Nothing new here.
Mhm.
When I think about the happy moments with my dad, when I think of the best parts of me,
Yes.
and I think of like my favorite parts of my personality, I think of my dad. Like
Wow,
he
that's
was,
beautiful.
yeah, like I say was, and I'll explain in a minute why I talk about him in past tense.
Yes.
But like he was the extroverted one of my parents. Like my mom is very introverted, very proper, very like when you present yourself in public, you present yourself properly and you present yourself representing me. And so that's where I get, I guess, my I don't know, my professionalism from, like how I present in public. I very much get that from my
Yeah.
mom. And I don't say that in a bad way. I appreciate that she taught me that. But when I think of like how much I love soca music and how much I can allow myself to like let go and be free and dance and like when I think of myself, my liberated self, I believe I got that from my dad because he was always the party starter. He was the one who was, like, loved to have family around, loved to have people around. We'd be walking down the street and he's very Grenadian in that way. Like we're from the my parents are from the Caribbean. Like you're rude if every single person you walk by, you don't say hello.
Yeah.
So complete stranger looks like they're having the worst day, looks like they don't want to be spoken to. Hello, good morning. How are you doing? Why are you stopping and talking to this man? Let him walk. Let him get to Parkway Mall. You know what I mean? But
Not Parkway Mall.
like
Okay, yeah.
yeah, so like that's what I think of. And so when I talk about him in the past tense, it's because like some of the therapy that I've been doing has included having to mourn that person.
Okay.
Because what I realized coming into my adulthood was that what I saw and what I remember as a child wasn't necessarily the truth. Like I don't remember that after these parties he'd be holding, him and my mom would be fighting and she'd be like, why would you invite this person? Why would you allow this? You know what? Like I don't remember that. I was asleep by
Mhm.
then. I was a little child.
Mhm.
Um, So learning what was really going on or learning, that it wasn't all sunshine and happiness and winding up and cheers
Mhm.
and questioning for the longest time, well, why can't I get that from him now? Why can't my daughter get that from her grandpa, for example?
Mhm.
Um, mm, uh, uh, some of the homework that my therapist gave me was write a eulogy for your
Sorry
dad.
to interrupt you, but shout
Yeah.
out your therapist. Your
No,
therapist is doing good work and wow, like everything, like my therapist, I'm like, I love that. I have a therapist too, but I'm not shouting her out so strongly, but that's beautiful. So
no,
therapy
like,
is good, folks. It is something that is um something to be done. And I think just to go off of that, I'm kind of interjecting, so I apologize, but just to say that for the longest while, I didn't believe in therapy. I couldn't fathom paying someone to listen to my problems, but I felt like they don't really care. Like it's a job. So it's like you have limits to your job. You don't give up all of yourself. And I wanted that because I just felt it was so deep and like my problems were the biggest problems, let's say. But I think after time, kind of taking my ego out of it and realizing like I actually want help to become my highest self and to work through things that are holding me back. Therapy has really helped me to see things from a bird's eye view, and have tools, hands off, forget about how emotional it feels and how like sad it is. More
yeah.
like what are tools that can help me not be stagnant anymore, which I needed because wow.
Hmm.
So I'm glad too to hear that therapy has really helped you and it's something that you use to work through your livelihood and help yourself. That's beautiful. I just wanted to say that for everyone that therapy is a beautiful thing. So yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I'm curious, did you go to therapy as a child?
Didn't go to therapy as a child. I was super against it. I didn't go to therapy until maybe late 20s, like 27, 26, when I was in grad school. That's when I said, you know what? The resources are there. It's free. I'm still suffering with the same things. So I need some hands-on tools or I'm going to end up in a madhouse.
Yeah.
So
No, quite
yeah.
literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom, during all the madness of my dad being in and out,
Hmm.
she made my sister and I go to therapy. And so it was a group therapy with the three of us, my mom, my sister, and I. And I was in second grade. And I just remember thinking, like, it always happened to fall on a day that we were supposed to go on these class trips to go skating.
Mm.
I was like, I want to go to skating. I don't want to sit here and talk about my business with this person, especially because I'm being told, and this is like a very Caribbean thing. What
Mhm.
happens in the home is our business. Don't go outside and talk our business.
I know because I feel like some of the things we've talked about offline privately, I'm like, really? How come you didn't tell me? I didn't know that. But I do agree that yes, that is the culture and what is supposed to
Yeah.
be. But I was contrary to that culture. Like my dad would very much agree with you, but I'm like, hey, like come find out and know and no big deal. But yes,
I think
I
also the huge difference there is that you were an only child, right?
agree.
So I had three, Lord,
Agree.
I had three older sisters because I technically have more sisters than that. I to this day I stumble on that, but I have three older sisters in the house who would make sure that I kept it to myself.
Mm,
Plus all my aunties, uncles, parents. Like if I spoke out of turn, I was put back in my place. So I was trained very well to keep my business mine.
mm.
Plus I knew the what is the word I'm looking for? The consequences, right? Like if the wrong things got out, if Child Protective Services found out certain things,
Like
I knew,
me. Like me.
right? Like well, I was shocked. I was like, the police are our friends. Like, so yeah, so she would make us go to therapy a few times, like it was bi-weekly.
Hmm.
And honestly, it ended up being more so for her. Like there were times that they would excuse my sister and I
Hmm.
just to like talk to her privately so that she could break down without us in the room. And so I knew from a young age that it was a safe space to do so. I just found it annoying and I didn't want to. But getting back to what I was saying about today about therapy,
Hmm.
I went back when I found out I was pregnant because I wanted to make sure that I was parenting the way that I wanted to be parented.
Hmm.
So my therapist gave me some homework to write out a eulogy for my dad for the not for him as a person, but for the person I made up, for the figure that I had created in my mind
Hmm.
and that I finally needed to let go in order to stop wondering why I couldn't receive that because I was expecting something that wasn't real.
Okay.
So today when I speak about him in past tense, it's because it's like I finally allowed myself to allow that vision that I've created to die
Mm.
and accept that he is a man and he is not this God that I created or that I remember.
Mm.
You know what I
And
mean?
you know what that really touches me in the sense of I often said that we have these expectations, we put people on a pedestal, but we don't allow them to just be who they are. And I think that as I grew too, just like yourself, and I looked back and thought of my dad, I said, dad comes with such a woo expectation. Like dad should be like the savior and the Santa Claus and all the things. But guess what? Before dad, dad is just a person. And who is that person? Like us, right? They have flaws, they have mishaps, they have challenges, they have their own battles that they're facing. Um, so I think that is an interesting concept to think of, like how you kind of find that balance, like you did. Like, for example, my dad's name's Clarence. And so it's like, how do I differentiate Clarence from dad? But also saying, like, dad does have a responsibility to me, but dad is still a man, like on his own too. So
Mm.
that's interesting. And I'm just curious to know how you were able to look back at your dad and think of him um, through the lens of like dad to you rather than offender to mom, or not offender, that might not be the correct word, but how did you were you ever able to say yes, dad did this to mom, but dad did this for me? Like you don't mesh the two contradicting actions together, if I'm making sense to you. Because sometimes, like when I think of my dad, I say, wow, great dad. But if I
Mhm.
think of what you've done to my mom or how you've approached my mom, I'm not sure if you're so great. But then I'm just like, a dad and a man, while kind of the same, it's like a double-edged sword. It's like still separate actions. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely, absolutely. Like
Because it's like
great dad.
if I'm a leader in the world, if I'm saying I'm a leader in the world for children, I'm a teacher. But then at the side, I'm still an abusive wife. It's just like it's separate, but it's still contradicting. There should be some onus for my personality in totality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of see it as like as Kanye, right? Like, so Kanye, incredible artist,
Okay.
horrible man.
Okay.
I mean, like R. Kelly, great music. Do we
Okay.
separate the artist
Hmm.
from the art? You know what I mean? Like, can we still be an R. Kelly fan knowing the horrible things that he's done, right?
Right? How do you
Um,
feel about that?
at the end of the day, I say no. I like no judgment to anybody else who can separate the two.
Yeah.
I can't hear what art was able to come out of such,
Crying.
you know what I mean? At the end of
Mhm.
the day, and like still enjoy that song. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think that's it's also different because you got to see what your dad was capable of. Like, despite the kind of partner he was to your mom
Mhm.
or wasn't to your
Mhm.
mom, he showed up for you at the end of the day and he
Mhm.
provided for you at the end of the day.
But then hear this.
Hmm.
Isn't it kind of like it's something that I speak with him about. I think of it myself, but it's like you were capable to show up for me. The
Yeah.
capabilities are there. You made a choice not to show up for my mom,
Hmm.
who like in turn, you're doing harm to me, right? You're
Oh
not
yeah.
loving my mom to the degree that you could. You're choosing not to, but you show up for me. It's kind of like my mom birthed you a child and you didn't choose to love her. Something a little bit gets a little like, it's if I think too deep about it, it's kind of like, what?
No, of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Well, and that's what I'm getting at. That like I don't see the separation at the end of the day.
Mm,
And there wasn't a separation because it wasn't like what I was getting at with your dad was that he showed up for you. He at the end of the day, he was a single dad supporting you, right?
mhm,
I never, my dad didn't do that part. He didn't do the showing up afterwards. Like by the time I was grown, or like I'm gonna say grown, but by the time I was 18, I'm in university, I'm moving out, I'm starting my relationship. You know what I mean? Like he had ample opportunities to show up and have that relationship
Because
and he dropped the ball.
because I was also going to say to you, as a wife now in a relationship, sometimes obviously we have challenges in our relationships, in the sense of like arguments, disagreements. Could you see how the turmoil between your mom and him could affect him wanting to come and be involved with you? Or do you feel that no excuse, that's separate, that has nothing to do with the two?
Do you see an excuse?
I think at the end of the day, when you're 18 years old and you're moving out and you're in university, there are ample amount of opportunities where he can come and see you without your mom being inclusive. I think maybe as a child, when you're in the not ownership, but in the care of your mom, it might be more challenging. But in the same breath, I guess I answered my own question to say when you love someone, when they are important to you, by any means, you will find a way, right? That shouldn't be an excuse unless your mom has said, don't have anything to do with my children, don't come. Even that, though, is
Yeah.
that a
Yeah.
reason? I'm not sure.
Listen, I have no reason to protect and defend this man, so I'll put his business out there because it's my story to tell. One thing that I've finally been able to claim is my voice. And in doing so, like so what we spoke about, like, it's very Caribbean way of like sweep it under the carpet. What happens at home stays at home. It's nobody
Yeah,
else's business.
yeah.
I believe now that your story is yours to tell. If people didn't want you to talk badly about them, they should have behaved. And that man did not behave. So when I was a child and all this is going on, my mom is struggling to make ends meet. She has 4 kids at home, trying to pay rent, what have you. He's not helping out. So she finally said, okay, like I don't want to do this. I wish we could just settle this between ourselves, but I'm gonna have to take you to court to get child support because like ends need to be met.
Mhm.
And so the story, as I've heard it, and again, this is from childhood, God knows what the actual truth is. The story that I've been told is that, in the court, he said, let her have full custody. Like, I don't want to go back and forth with her about this. I don't even need visitation rights. Like, he basically threw his hands up and said, like, I'm not fighting you, take it. And she's like, no, that's not what I want. Like, I want them to have a relationship with you. I want you to be in their life. And he's like,
Mhm.
so no, I don't. I don't think that I can
Mhm.
look at him and his relationship with my mom and separate that from his relationship with me.
Got you. And I think too, when I think of your dad, I just remember him coming to school and I remember how happy you were. So he would come at lunchtime and he would bring you lunch or bring you snacks. And I remember you running down the hall and jumping on him and you loved him. Like there was so you didn't really get as excited with anyone else. Not that I witnessed. Like you were happy and you talked to people, but meh, you're just like, sure. But with your dad, you ran like the aura was alive and you were happy and loving. And so I'm just reflecting on what you feel like that's done to you, or if it's done anything to you as you became a woman, just how that's carried over into your into your womanhood, into your self-esteem, and because you're loved now
Good.
by a loving husband and all the things, right? So it's easy to where we can sometimes forget our past and let it go to rest, But if you could think back to as you progress into womanhood, do you feel like that impacted who you were, who you are?
100%. 100%. Like I think of the memories that you're mentioning, like me running down the halls. And I actually forgot that. Like I remember him showing up. I remember like he'd bring Happy Meals, whatever, like bags of groceries just filled with snack, my favorite snacks. It's not groceries. That's not really helping my mom. Whatever. Okay. As a
Mhm,
mom, I can look back and think that. Back then, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. My favorite. Thank you for
mhm,
bringing all these things.
mhm.
I can also look back and think, wow, I shouldn't have been that excited to see my own father because I should have been seeing him consistently. It shouldn't have been, oh, wow, you're here. I'm so excited. Let me tell you all the things that you've missed out for 30 minutes during lunch break
Mhm,
during elementary school.
mhm,
Um, Things that people didn't know, like you included, is that like I would be pulled out of class really often. Um, Not gonna get emotional. I'd be pulled out of class really often because at the time, Danielle, my older sister, we were in the same school. So when she was in grade 8, I was in grade 2.
mhm,
So she was more open with like the teachers that she trusted. So we had a French teacher, Madame Itlian,
mhm.
who my sister was really close with. And so like she would tell her what was going on at home, but she also had a better idea because like she was older and she understood what was happening versus I'm like, there's a lot of yelling happening at home. Maybe this is normal. I just know I'm supposed to shut up and go to class.
Mhm.
So Madame Leon and whoever the guidance counselor was at that time, I don't remember her name. And they would pull me out of class. And I remember like Madame Leon, she told me straight up, she's like, you're safe. You can talk to me. Danielle, my older sister, told me what's going on. And I want you to know that like if you ever want to talk, you can talk to me. I'm like, okay, lady. Like, you know what I mean? Like I know what trap when I see one. And so she started setting up these meetings for me where I would meet with the guidance counselor on a weekly basis. Like, so I'd miss a lot of French classes because she would excuse me from French to go and meet with this lady,
Okay.
which was basically anger management classes that I didn't know I was being enrolled into.
Okay.
So I guess I've mentioned all that to say I had a lot of anger issues.
Mhm.
That should be no surprise to you. I was a very angry child. I was a very angry teenager. I was a very angry.
However, I do want to interject and say that growing up, you were my bestest friend in the whole wild world. Like I would say there was God, my dad, and then you. And I think something that I took from you was yes, you were angry, but I also felt, and this was my own trauma, that the more you loved someone that was angry, the better they would become or
Right.
be. And I kept wanting to love, I think more so I pulled towards you is because I just want to love you, love you, love you. But also, you definitely, even though you're saying to me like, "Oh, you were trying to find you're now like standing in your voice." I
Mhm.
feel like you always had a voice. That is why I took to you because I did not like confrontation, and I
Mhm.
feel like you would always just say what it was and
Mhm.
talk up. And so also when we had a conversation prior to like coming on here, etc., I realized that you endured so much. And I guess the forms of how that comes out, the effects of someone's hurt, pain comes out in different ways. I cried all the time. You guys cussed me off and said every day I'm crying. You were angry. So it's just like it comes out in different ways. And so I
Yeah.
can honor and appreciate that. And I think that now that you're older and you've taken time to do the work, which many people don't, like there are people who are still angry, like my dad, right? It's just like that
Cry.
is that is a great like kudos to you. Like, yes, you're angry, but like who's to say how other people would deal with what you had to endure? It's crazy.
And like I'm glad you mentioned that because like The fact that you allowed yourself to cry, and listen, sometimes it was a put on. Like you knew how to cry on command, eh?
No, Dominique, I was
Stop this.
actually always hurt. I
You
was
knew how
always
to cry on command. Like
dumb. I was actually hurt. I felt sad.
that.
Something twitched and I couldn't hold it in. I just had to cry all the time. I always felt overwhelmed and sad.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
That's my truth. Yeah, no, it's okay. Like there's Mr. George, but there's actually no Mr. George because there's no proof.
No.
Anyways, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, so the fact that you allowed yourself to feel feelings and like release them on site, today I know how powerful that is.
Mm,
Back then, and like especially at home, I'm hearing shut up, perform, get it done. To
mm.
me, like that was weakness. It's like, what do you mean you're gonna let people see you cry? What do you mean like
And
every little bad thing that happens, people gotta know? Like hold
mhm,
it together. That's not, especially for
mhm.
a child, that is not a a healthy reaction.
Healthy. Hmm.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think too, when I think of that too, it's my dad, right? My dad is similar personality to you, came from a really hard and challenging childhood. And so for him, when he sees a young girl, black girl, going into the world and crying, he's like, "Do you know what people will do to you? Do to you? Do you
Yeah.
know what your experiences will be like?" So he would yell at me on top of me being hurt rather than having a conversation and talking or explaining. And
Mhm.
so I think there's a lot to say to that and what that has done to me. But it's also to say that I was also just in my natural state of being. And I just allowed myself to do exactly as I felt. And remember, I didn't have anyone to guide or tell me, like you're saying, you had siblings to say, don't do that. This is the way. You saw an example. I was just living free.
Like when my husband, and I think we spoke about this when I saw you recently, like a couple weeks ago, that I mentioned that for it took me a very long time to like accept softness with him,
Mm,
to to believe that he was around for the long haul.
mm,
And even to this day, like, listen, very happy in my marriage, don't have any plans to go anywhere, would fight him before I let him leave me.
mm,
But I think there's this fight or flight at the back of my head that's
mhm,
always ready,
mhm,
that should there be a need, I'm gonna defend my, not defend myself physically, but I mean like if he does want to leave,
mhm,
I'm ready for him to leave
mhm,
just because of that revolving door from my childhood.
mhm,
And so hearing like my husband compliment me and tell me like you're the most beautiful girl in the world and say stuff like that, like I would never accept that.
mhm,
Like it was even hard for me to like lie down and like cuddle with him because like I don't know if this is gonna last, so I don't want to get comfy and I don't want to get secure in this. I need to keep my back up. I need to stay on my keep my guard up
mhm.
just in case things change because as a child things did change instantaneously. Everything was happy. Suddenly there's yelling and broken glass and luggage being pulled out. So yeah, I and today I'm finally learning to come down from it, but a constant fight or flight mode.
Mhm. And I think that takes time. And I think you've highlighted a lot of things where it's like the importance of, well, not even the importance, but we can see how childhood carries with us throughout our journey. And it's a constant, you said you're a forever learner. So it's like it's a constant process of growth, learning, unlearning, learning, unlearning, and realizing as a mom now, you know the impact that childhood has to now even be a better mom, right? To have that in your mind, to know like everything you do may or may not affect your daughter and how you want to go about that, why you went to therapy, which I think is a beautiful thing. And I don't know how many people actually can sit down and take the time to say, I've reflected on my childhood, why I'm like A, B, and C, or what I need to do. They just keep the cycle going. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm invincible. Everything's okay. And so, yeah, I just want to acknowledge that I think it's a beautiful thing that you're doing the work, I'm doing the work, but you're going to change future generations. So, aside from obviously wanting your father to be there in the house to help you, would you suggest anything or say that you would have wanted him to do anything different? Like, what would you say would be some things? I know you said a lot of things, so obviously
Long
showing up and being there. Um,
bare minimum. Back then, when I think of what I would have wanted for him, maybe, actually take action, not have something to be accountable for later. Like just because you're not with my mom anymore does not mean you're not in my life. Like when I called him at 19 years old, sitting on campus, they're about to kick me out because I cannot pay tuition. I'm
Mm,
not going to be able to return to my second semester of university during my first year because I'm like a couple $1,000s short. My mom can't help me. OSAP is not kicking in because you make too much money.
mhm.
I don't know if I ever shared that. I wasn't qualified.
Did you share that? I don't think so, but I think one time you did mention to say culture really stepped up to the plate to help you, and that's who you called on. You didn't go into too much detail. We know
Yeah.
you're not even going into too much detail, but that's fine. You bottom line said that why culture was great was because when you needed him in university, he stepped up. And yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you didn't even want to call on him.
Not want to. He
Yeah.
just happened to be there with me as I was calling my dad.
Mhm.
And then he had no idea what was being said on the phone. He just saw me breaking down, begging, like, Daddy, please, they're about to kick me out. Like I'm bawling in the middle of this university campus that already doesn't even have a lot of black people, let alone black girls,
Mhm.
standing there bawling like an idiot.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Yeah, I can't. Your mom should have helped you," and hangs up the phone on me. I when I tell you the bar is in hell, like I would have rather he just
Like I can give you $200. I can at least meet you to have a conversation, something. Like, yeah.
just feel bad. Like, oh, my daughter worked this hard to get into school. She got there. She's been paying it for herself. She's working. She's also in class. Like she's doing the things. And this is the one time I never called on him. I'll be completely honest with you. I only ever called on him if it was an emergency. That was an emergency and he didn't step up. And it's like I'm not using that as the end all be all of my like his representation of how he was or was not in my life. I think that
Mhm.
that was a pivotal turning point for me. And when I was like, oh yeah, like this is truly someone I cannot depend upon.
Mm.
Um, but it's like in my mind, there are constant memories of that. And I had a conversation with one of my most recent conversations with him, which unfortunately was 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago. I asked him like, why did you stop talking to me for so long? Like there were years he didn't know when I got married. He did not know when I graduated. He doesn't know my adult life.
Mhm.
So I asked, why did you stop talking to me for so long? And he reflected on a story of when like we were at a funeral, his brother's funeral. Mind you, I'm 14 years old. It's my first funeral or one of my first funerals. It's a lot. I have family members who I've never seen cry or now,
Overstimulated. Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
so he told me to do something and I walked away and I didn't listen. And he said, and in that moment, when I saw you give me attitude, I said, if even the baby of the family can give me this attitude, I'm done. So me as a 14-year-old disobeying him. And like I said, as a child, I saw that I needed to be worthy. I needed to be cute enough, kind enough, convince him to stick around. And it was like when I failed at that at 14 years old, he cut me off for years.
Hmm.
So what do I wish he did? I wish he tried.
Wow. I'm just sitting with that for a second. I don't think all things need to actually be spoken upon right away because that is heavy. Like sometimes all it really takes is effort. And it's definitely very sad for me to hear, but like it's not sad. Like I don't like that either. I don't like to say something sad. It's like I'm just feeling for you. And I know that it's a lot. And I'm just so thankful that like God has blessed you abundantly. Like you have now have your own family and you persevered. And no matter the coping mechanisms, you got through, you turned around, you tried to do better for yourself. You are doing better for yourself because I'm envisioning like I only have one parent. I know how hard that is, but I'm also thinking if I didn't have my dad, how hard that would be. And understanding that if it's like it's someone that you look to and they fall short and they're not trying, it's the least you can do for someone that's your own biological child, right? And all the feelings that come with that. And so I'm just thankful though that it's a full circle for you that while you had all these mishaps that are not your fault, that are on behalf of someone else's choices, um, you now have the experience of love and kindness and care and still willing to work through it. Where a lot of women are like, to hell with men and to hell with that and to
And
hell with
understandably
vulnerability.
so. Like
Yeah,
I'm not gonna,
yeah,
knock
yeah.
anybody for experiencing these types of like this type of hurts from
Hmm.
the first man in their life
Hmm.
and not having any trust in men. Like it is lifelong work and it's when we talk about healing, and
Hmm.
for the longest time, like I'd hear people say, healing is a lifelong journey. Healing is not linear. And like it sounds like nonsense, but when you actually get into it and start the healing journey, you understand that, oh yeah, I'm doing well today, but tomorrow I'm in shambles. Like the last time we had this conversation, I was fine. I was able to laugh about it. I was able to like, that man,
Hmm.
today it hurts.
Hmm.
You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And so yeah, it is gonna be a life long, like I'll never wake up and be like, yeah, my dad doesn't care to have a relationship with me and not have that hurt.
Hmm.
But I can either turn it into something productive by that, not take that as something that defines me.
Yes. And you're a living testimony of that right now, right? So that brings me to my next thought. Like for young girls, young boys, however someone identifies really, that is going through not having their dad and feeling sad about that and wanting that relationship, anything you would suggest to them now looking back as a young girl, maybe internalizing that, or feeling angry, like what would you say?
Oh, life. Okay. What is my advice? Okay. I don't have advice for any young person who does not have their father
Mhm.
present in their life,
Mhm.
because to me, that suggests that there's something you need to do, that there's something that you have failed at, that there's any onus on you. And that is
Right.
absolutely not the case.
Mhm.
You are a child. Jesus, you are a child and you deserve to be loved, and you deserve to be loved the way you want to be loved. Um, so feel your feelings. I would suggest a trusted adult that you can have these conversations with, that you can release with.
Mhm.
It is not on you to protect him or to make yourself lovable or worthy to him. None of this is your fault, and therefore none of this is on you to fix. Your only rule here is to protect yourself. And that's it, actually, is just to protect yourself. So find what that means for you,
Mhm.
whether that's in the friendships that you build, in whatever um parenting relationship you have, whether it's you have your mom in your life, whether you have like a mother figure, a close teacher, for example. And again, as much as I mentioned like friends, I do think it's important to have a trusted adult that you can speak to, whether that's a guidance counselor, a pastor, I don't care. Someone who is grown who can provide that space for you, because your friends will only understand so much because they're a child too and don't necessarily know how to hold that space for you.
The wisdom is also limited to a certain extent, right? Because with experience comes wisdom. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. That's my advice, that it's not on you, and do your best to internalize that truth, that it's not something you did and there is nothing that you can do to fix that. It is on him.
And it doesn't define you. It doesn't define your worth, and doesn't define the love you're deserving of. As you can see from your experiences, I just want to highlight that you have stated your experience and what that has done to you, but you have also now come full circle to still seek, or not seek, to still accept love from someone else and work through it, even though it's not linear, which is a beautiful thing. So a dad not loving you, even though the presence is important, the absence doesn't mean you're null and void and don't deserve love and cannot get love. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
so, just two final questions and thoughts to ask you, because we have taken up a lot of your time and you've given a lot of emotions for the day. So, I don't want to overtake your capacity to be like, what is forgiveness possible?
Is forgiveness possible? In this case, you mean specifically like, is forgiving my father possible?
I would say that I think you can answer it twofold, but I want to answer it in a more general sense that fathers who have not been present in their child's life and have not taken the ownership to show up for them and have made them feel feelings of inadequacy and lack thereof love. Um, and some people have stated, I want nothing to do with them. You've shown yourself over and over and over again. I'm good now.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you believe that the relationship could be mended or the efforts could be put forth to make things better? Or is it sometimes it's enough and that's that?
I believe that both can be true.
Okay.
I if my father were to reach out today and
Mhm.
apologize, I think I would need to sit with what that means,
Okay.
and understand what healthy boundaries would look like and healthy steps towards having any level of relationship would look like.
Okay.
Um, I also think that it's fair for someone, like I mentioned, with through therapy, kind of mourning the loss of who I thought he was. Um, that it's also fair and healthy for someone to decide, no, that is not health. That's not a really. At the end of the day, I see it as an abusive relationship. You know what I mean? Like I mean mentally abusive in that like you want a lot from me, but you're not giving anything back to me as my father.
Mhm.
Um, so it's way more effort from me, and then without getting into too much detail, it's no effort back.
Mhm.
So where I am today is I am not going to put in any further effort. I'm not going to seek out that relationship, because that's the healthy choice for me. But if he were to reach out, like I said, I would be open to discovering what that would look like.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that makes me feel like unconditional love. Like love transcends all the pain, all the hurt. But like not to say that you should always accept abusive relationships, but just like the act of love, like the fact that you'll just hear him out and you're saying like look how much pain and hurt, but you're still willing to say like let me see, right?
Yeah,
I think that's very beautiful and talks to your strength and care and undying love. Like,
I want to be careful with that one
yeah,
because I don't
tell me.
believe in unconditional love.
Mhm.
Love needs conditions. Love needs boundaries, and love
Love,
needs
love
space.
need love needs yeah, I think I could get into a big discussion on that. Unconditional love. I do believe love needs uh boundaries. I don't know about conditions, but I guess conditions, boundaries, same. So it's interesting. Um,
Okay, all right. I see where you're going. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. I can't talk so quickly on that right now in such a small span of time, but that is an interesting thing that you're saying though. Wow. Wow. There's a lot. I've taken away a lot from this. That's beautiful, though. It's just interesting too to see different perspectives, right? You think everyone's seeing things through one lens, or your way is the truth, and there's multiple truths, multiple ways people see things, how they perceive it, how they go about it, which is, I think, beautiful as well for me to ponder and to go against my own thoughts, because I'm always loving to learn and grow and expand my own self. So, beautiful. Thank you. Also, my final thing for you is if you could tell your dad, if you could say one thing to your dad for him to hear, uh, what would you say to him?
Children are going to watch this, right?
Everyone is gonna watch this. So say it in better words than worse words and use your critical English literature major, all things.
Listen, at the end of the day, I would tell him I'm disappointed, I'm hurt,
Mhm.
but I'm not broken. Thank you for the thank you for the good times. I'm good.
Beautiful. You like wow, because I feel like that when I say I'm good, it's like there are so many things I could say, but you know what? To God be the glory. I'm good. So that is like, wow, beautiful.
Done.
Full stop. Wow, Dom, you are all things. I don't know what to say. You are all things. You are all things. I just want to highlight that it's just like thank you. Like thank you for
You.
actually like doing the work, showing up, apologizing when need be, accepting your truth, being cognizant of what's happening around you, like not putting throwing it under the rug. And you're a mom, and you're a wife, and you're a creative, and you need to exist, and you need to be a sister, and you need to
And
be
you
a
gotta drink
daughter.
water, and you gotta go to the gym.
Yeah,
Like,
like it's a lot. It's a lot, but wow. I don't say that greatness necessarily needs to have struggles per se, but I feel like you're all things great and it's only going to get better. And I'm proud of you and I'm so happy for you. And yeah, like I love you. Like I'll always love you. And I think that you're doing great things and you are a beautiful human being. And again, I'm so, so proud of you. Like, what? Like you're not cussing, you're not mad. Like you said, I'm accepting love, like love, cuddles, softness. Like these words for me are like, Dom, are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, wow. That's beautiful. Look, even when I
listen,
was coming on, I was scared. I was like, Tom, I sent you the link to the wrong address. Please don't cuss me. You're like, I wasn't going to. Like, okay. Like, beautiful. So I
listen,
just,
I love you too. Thank you so much for hosting this. Thank you for like making this platform for people to like share these experiences and like gain from each other. I really
yes.
appreciate it.
Yes, thank you again. I just want to say thank you for spending your time and coming on and saying all the things we don't say, especially from a childhood where you're supposed to be private and you learn to be private. And this is not a paid partnership. So you don't have to share your private business to anyone. This is out of love and like care and kindness towards me. And so thank you so much. And I love you.